Today, I want to talk about a topic that is becoming very popular, and clients are often asking questions about it. What happens at the marriage interview when a U.S. citizen marries a foreign national and they are here in the U.S. ready to go for the adjustment of status interview? Typically, the purpose of the marriage-based adjustment interview is for the U.S. Immigration Service to verify and check whether the marriage is bona fide or it was entered for the sole purpose of evading the law in the United States and getting a green card. A typical marriage-based interview will start with an invitation from the U.S. government for the couple to show up at a designated immigration office in any state at a particular time and date. It is very important to keep that appointment. If for some reason the applicant cannot make the appointment, they have to notify the service. Failure to notify the service will result in a closure of the case. On the date of the appointment, typically the applicant should bring all the documents that can demonstrate to the service that this is a real and bona fide marriage. We often advise our clients to collect paperwork that will show joint bills or bank accounts together. Any commingling of assets are important to bring to the interview. The interview will start when the officer will call the applicants from the waiting room. Most of the immigration offices in the United States are set up the same. There's a waiting room where the applicants are waiting to be called for their appointment. The officer will come out of the office, call the applicants, and they'll follow him to his interview office. The officer typically would start by placing the couple under oath. All the forms that have been submitted before are also signed on the oath. So the first step is to place the applicant on the oath. The reason they do that is if they catch during the interview any inconsistencies or they feel that there's been fraud committed, the government can then enforce the law and sue the applicant because they committed fraud during the interview. After the oath, the officer will typically require original documents. He's going to ask for birth certificates, passports, marriage certificates, originals. This is the point where they verify the original documents. He's going to compare the files that he has versus the originals. The next step is the officer will go through the forms that were submitted. He'll verify the I-130 forms, the I-485 forms by going through the questions. The officer will ask the applicant whether it's a U.S. citizen or the foreign national, in turn for their address, for the phone number. This is also done for a reason. The officer will, at that point, check to see if the applicants know exactly where they live or they hesitate before they answer. The next step is the officer will start addressing the applicants different questions. Many of the officers start with the I-485 and they go through the list of questions on the form. For example, have you ever been arrested? These questions are addressed to the foreign national. Have you ever taken public assistance from the government? Have you ever been deported? All these questions are questions that come from the 485 application, and we advise most applicants to be prepared. Once they finish with the forms, the officer will go through a series of questions to test the validity of the relationship. In most first interviews, applicants are not separated. They're only separated if there's a reason to do so. So questions can be, well, where did you meet? What have you done last Sunday? What is the name of his or her parents? Very basic questions. And during those questions, the officer will determine if there's a need to either ask more questions or reschedule the interview for a second interview, where they call Stokes interview. This interview is designed to question the validity of the relationship. But if all goes well, they just run down through the basic questions, and then they'll go to the third step. They'll check the financial documents of the U.S. citizen. Remember, the U.S. citizen is a sponsor. If they don't make enough money, or if there's a change in employment, now with the economy there's been a lot of changes, at that point the officer will require a co-sponsor. So they're going to go through the documents to verify the tax returns of the petitioner, make sure they're still working. We always advise our clients to bring current pay stubs and proof of employment, because if there was a layoff or things like that, the case can be put on suspense, or they will require a call sponsor. If all goes well at that point, they'll verify the medical documents to make sure there's no problems with the applicant's medical history that will prevent them from immigrating. Finally, if all goes well, the officer will approve the case, if all goes well, and notify the applicant that the green card will be produced and mailed to the home address within 2 weeks. This is typically what happens in a marriage interview. If all goes well, it's a smooth process. If things go bad and the officer feels that there's a need for further investigation, they won't deny the case, but they reschedule it for a second interview. They call it Stokes interview. So our advice, be prepared, make sure you have all the documents ready, don't get nervous, and dress appropriately. We wish you good luck and keep following our videos. Thank you.